recording.
You do not have my consent.
I do not have your consent. No, I committed a felony.
No.
666.
Oh no.
666. All right,
You know,
cool.
I didn't know what sound that was, but okay.
I was like,
I'll take your word for it. I guess I'll figure it out when I'm editing this.
millions of fans. Welcome back
Ooh.
to the Cine-Scoots podcast. Let's do debut.
We are gonna get so copyright struck. I'm pretty sure these sound codes are gonna get us sound copyright.
I believe in trials by fire.
Yeah, fair.
He's COVID survivor Javier.
I am COVID survivor Javier. We are recording a week late.
Yes.
Because we wanted to record last Wednesday, I think.
Because the king of this podcast had the sickies. He missed his vacation.
Oh, that breaks my heart. I should be on a boat.
You should be on a boat.
In the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I should have swum with pigs by now.
I should be. If we want to see the fucking pigs, we're gonna see the fucking
pigs.
And I should be dreading the fact that I'd have to pick you up on Saturday night, right?
Yeah, but at least it would have been at Midway.
Yeah. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen back home. Javier had the weirdest like positive negative experience with his COVID test.
I still have not tested positive. I never tested positive.
So strange.
Katie tested positive. But I did not.
His wife.
My wife.
And I almost risked myself for exposure because you kept on testing negative. Katie did not. And then
Katie was also testing negative.
Right. So you kept on testing negative. Katie was also testing negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then Javi's like, yeah, we're feeling fine. Do we want to record? And I was like, yeah, let's not risk it. And then the positives came in.
Yeah,
so,
the next day, I was like, oh, it's a good thing we didn't.
So I and my family almost died for this.
For the art. To be fair.
Yes.
You guys have already had it not too long ago, right?
We have already had it. I'm going to hit strong. Which is a gun sound effect.
Oh, no.
In case you can't tell, we got some new toys. We got a little soundboard from the Amazons. I got a new microphone. Looks like I'm one of those old-timey 1940s radio jockeys, see?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I can't... So,
Axis forces move across the Rhine.
So for those at home listening...
Or on the road.
Or on the road. Yeah. We are supposed to both be able to listen to ourselves, but someone does not have aux-capable headphones.
Aux-capable. This is the consequences of living in the Mac ecosystem for so long.
Yeah. So we are able to kind of listen to ourselves to make sure that we sound okay.
And we sound great.
I hope we do. I will be editing this soon, and we will find out.
Yeah. But we also haven't talked about which recording we're doing first right now.
We did not.
So we are doing...
We're doing How I Met Your Mother Season 6.
Season 6. And then
6.
You'll get a Nope review coming out soon.
Yeah. I'm assuming I'll have the Nope review out first, because that's...
Yes.
I feel like more time sensitive.
I believe the people at home are actually caught up with our How I Met Your Mother in the summer.
Yeah, we're out of episodes.
We're out of episodes, so I hope you've been enjoying them.
I hope so, too.
HIMYM has just returned for shooting. It was Franzia Riza's birthday last week.
Was it? I have not kept up with that, actually.
Yeah, she had a great birthday celebration. Lily Singh and Selena Gomez participated.
Oh,
yeah!
I didn't know they were friends.
Yeah, you didn't know they were friends?
No.
So trivia about Franzia Riza, who plays Valentina, on HIMYM. She is the one who donated her kidney to Selena Gomez.
Oh,
so they are good friends.
Very good friends.
Attached at the hip. Some might say.
Yeah. Good for them. I would give a kidney for you, friend.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
If we were the same. Do you need to be blood compatible?
You need to be something compatible. I don't know if it's blood, but something needs to be compatible. Your bodies can
reject that shit.
Kidneys. Yeah.
Can reject that shit like a
Exactly.
Like an unwelcome boyfriend.
Like an unwelcome boyfriend indeed. So, happy season 6.
Happy season 6.
The beginning of the frame story arc.
Yeah, this is the beginning of. This is essentially the beginning of the end. I feel like when they got to season 6, they were like, "All right, we need to establish what the end is." And you know what? What I'm very happy about. This is the season where I sat my ass down and said, "I am going to take episode by episode notes."
Yeah.
So that I know what the hell is going on. I went through. I found the title of every single.
What a man.
I did my homework.
He did his homework.
I did my homework. I felt very.
He's a good graduate student.
I fucking hate that. I'm a grad student. I hate being part of the system.
As a former grad student, it sucks. But it's worth it when it's over.
Is it? Because
Trust me.
I feel like I am getting screwed here because I have.
Yeah.
I'm literally getting nothing.
You know, you got a leg up on the youngins.
Fuck did you?
So, season 6.
Season 6. Where do we start here, friend?
So, I believe we typically start with...
Oh, I meant like where are we at the beginning of season 6?
So at the beginning of season 6, we begin with a mystery wedding.
Yeah.
That we start at the very beginning of the frame. Starts with Ted and Marshall on a bench. We actually don't know that it's not Ted's wedding.
Yeah, I think it kind of leads you to believe that it might be his wedding. The only thing that you might pick up on is he's clearly dressed the same as Marshall, which usually the best man might be the most high dress, but it's usually the husband that looks different, right?
But Lily does come out at the beginning of that first frame and say, "Best man, you're needed."
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, we find out that he is at the end of the season.
Yeah,
we find out that he is the best man for Barney's wedding.
Barney's wedding, right?
And this is a big Barney season.
It's a huge Barney season.
You know, we start off the season with big days, and cleaning house, which both have a lot to do with fatherhood. So it's a big Barney season. It's also a big Marshall season.
It's
a paralleling reason.
Yeah. So it's funny that when I think of How I Met Your Mother, I felt that hit. I hope they heard the thump.
My funny boy. Wait, there's a sound effect for this.
Is there?
There's gotta be. There's gotta be.
Boing, 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 boing.
Where's the pussy ass bitch sound? Anyway, continue.
Anyway, so one of the things that I find funny about the show is that I always remember the show being very funny, but starting with season 6,
serious.
Man, there are some bummer fucking episodes.
Yeah.
I was watching Cleaning House, which is the episode where they talk about Barney's mom. She is packing up a lot of the stuff from the house, and I can't remember, are they moving?
So let's compare them in big days for a bit, and I think this can lead us to discuss Barney and then maybe Marshall right afterwards.
Sure.
I think that's a good order. So big days, the pregnancy is looming.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of Marshall and
Lily trying to have a baby.
Yeah, because I believe season 5 literally ends with Lily saying, "Marshall, put a baby in my belly."
Exactly.
And this is a season where they are trying hard.
Yep. So the dad, Marshall's dad, Marvin Erickson, Patrick Starr, gets them a bassinet.
A lovely man.
Yep. And Marshall thinks it's very sweet. Lil, isn't it sweet?
Lily, not so much.
Lily does not think it's sweet. She does not appreciate how close Marshall is with his dad. There's a bit of back and forth on that, but the theme of the episode is proximity to parents and how much you're willing to let your parents into your adult life. Lily's talking to the group. She's like, "Isn't Marshall being crazy?" And Barney says, "No. If I knew my dad, I'd have him be in my life all the time."
Yeah, I would never not talk to my dad if I could, right? That's what he says.
And then that leads to Cleaning House, where Barney and his brother's mother is moving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they find a photo in an envelope with that was supposed to be addressed to a man whose name is, I forget.
Harold.
Harold?
I believe it's Harold.
Okay, to Harold. With a photo of young Barney and young Wayne Brady. And it says, it is labeled Your Son.
Your Son.
So we think
Your Son, North Dakota.
Your Son, North Dakota, right? So this is the beginning of, the opportunity for Barney to finally meet.
Oh, sorry, Sam Gibbs.
Sam Gibbs, exactly.
Wow, not even close.
Yeah, not even close. I knew it wasn't Harold, but I didn't want to.
Why was I thinking Harold?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. But Sam Gibbs, actor, is the dad from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
You're right.
So there's an extra layer of emotions actually all on that.
Yeah. Oh my God. How did I not? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
So we find out Sam is not Barney's dad. Barney
does not take it well.
And it's, at the end he confirms that he knows Sam is not his dad, but he exhibits that classic childishness.
And it's also the episode where, so we had this discussion, I believe in season 2, where we had a discussion of, does Barney really believe that Bob Barker is his dad?
Right.
And back then we were like, maybe. I know I had said, I don't think so. I think it's pretty clear that it's like a defense mechanism. And in this season, this is where he flat out confirms. He's like, I know Bob's not my dad. I'm not fucking insane.
Yeah.
But
he's like a prequel memer. he just lies and lies to himself until he kind of believes it's true. Attack of the Clones was a great movie.
Are we talking here with personal experience, friend?
No, I never went that far into the camp. I appreciate them for nostalgic reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I like the colors. I like the pictures.
I like the colors.
Attack of the Clones is a boring movie.
It is.
It's just facts.
Facts.
So, do we want to focus on Barney?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do Barney. So this season, Barney is introduced to a couple of key players, I would say, in his life. Mm-hmm. We're introduced to Nora. So kind of to go hand in hand, Barney and Robin tie up a lot this season.
Yep.
So Robin is getting over her really messy breakup with Don.
Yeah. She's sundressed up.
Because man, season 6, episode 1, Robin is
looking rough, buddy.
Looking very rough.
Yeah.
But it does kind of show us that, she kind of understands that Don was not her end game. Right. Yes, they were compatible to a certain extent. Yes, he was technically speaking a good guy. Mm-hmm. And it kind of was, I'm saying it was her fault, mm-hmm. but it was because of her that he chose to pursue Chicago.
Right.
So I think part of her kind of knows that.
Yeah.
And understands. But we do kind of meet through her. We meet Nora, mm-hmm. who is a pretty big love interest.
Yes.
And after things kind of fall apart, we do later on meet Quinn, but that's season 7 stuff. That's season 7, yeah. Right?
Nora's in the game by the end of season 6.
Nora is in the game by the end of season 6, right? So they do kind of on and off date a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Barney, in the conclusion of this show, before the marriage to Robin, Barney actually gets some winners. I mean, Nora's awesome. That actress, by the way, is involved in a bunch of cool humanitarian stuff. Her name escapes me right now, but if anybody wants to Google her, please go ahead. But just personality-wise, like, she's very sweet. She's pretty. She's honestly definitely too good for Barney. And then Quinn has a past, but once again, like, she's a likable character.
Yes. There's still some things from her that, like, right off the bat, you're kind of like,
yeah,
she's just here to save some space for now.
Right. And yet she has a personality. She's She's assertive. She's clearly not just like a side piece. Which is interesting before we jump a bit too ahead of ourselves, because this is also the season where Ted gets paired with Zoe. And I don't dislike Zoe, as much as a lot of the fandom does. But it's kind of interesting to see that Barney gets paired with these much more interesting characters, where Ted is clearly on the...
Ted's kind of stagnant in this season, I feel.
Ted's kind of stagnant, but he's also kind of on the definitely not like the mother yet, like Swinger Girls from here on out.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, so this season is really where we need to finish up giving Barney his character, because by the end of the season we know that he's getting married.
Yep.
And boy, oh boy, is this man nowhere near close, nowhere near that level of maturity to be tied down.
Tied down.
Yeah. So is this? Yeah, this is the Ducky Tie season, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Wonderful. No, 7's the Ducky Tie.
Is it just 7?
7 is the Ducky Tie season. Yeah.
But anyway, so we do have a couple of things with Barney that I think we need to kind of touch on a little bit. We meet his dad later on after Marshall unfortunately loses his dad. Right. It does kind of make him decide, maybe it is time to meet my dad, because in cleaning house, man, we keep going back and forth.
Yeah. But a lot of these, like, this season, I feel like more than the others that we've discussed so far, is very intertwined with how these character arcs affect each other.
Exactly.
Because it's not just romantic this season; it's also different types of familial.
Familial
love.
So one of the really nice things is in cleaning house, Barney does kind of say, I know that sometimes I felt like empty without my dad.
Right.
Like, his mom really was trying hard to kind of be enough.
Oh, yeah.
To a very detrimental degree, I would say sometimes. Lying to them to protect their feelings.
For sure.
Which, is very sweet of her.
Yes, but it's detrimental. So if you're going to tell... Okay. So if your kid sucks at basketball, you're telling him that he can't be on the team because he's just too good and he's not going to be good players. Obviously, yes, that's detrimental. But at the same time, she is truly and sincerely trying her best.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Especially for a woman who, like, by all intents and purposes, is kind of a hot mess.
Yeah.
Like, that's just always been the picture that they kind of paint. Like, it's really weird having the cognitive dissonance. And I'm not even sure that's the right, like... Because, like, you see Frances Conway, and she's, like, the sweetest looking lady.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, no, I was a hoe.
It's a hilarious casting. It's an odd casting.
It's so fucking good. Casting. But then we later find out that even though Barney did not know it, he had met his dad multiple times.
Yeah.
Uncle Jerry, right?
Jerome Whitaker, the Trinity Killer.
Yeah, the Trinity Killer. When they go to the Museum of National History Museum, right?
Natural History.
They are kind of fucking around. They find out later that Barney did knock down the blue whale when he was a kid.
Yes.
And it was his uncle who was with him.
Correct.
But lo and behold, it was actually Papa Jerome, right?
And back in the day, Papa Jerome was kind of a deadhead. Right.
Like, he was like a roadie.
Hippie partier.
Yeah, he did magic, he banged.
And he is possibly, in reality, more John Lithgow-y than John Lithgow himself.
Explain.
I mean, I think John Lithgow is just like this benign, harmless, sweet, kind old man.
So,
right? Which...
Here's the funny thing. So... I grew up in Mexico.
Yeah.
So for me, there was no Third Rock from the Sun.
I remember Third Rock.
There was no other of his shows. Yeah. I think he was in like Coneheads or whatever, or was that Dan Aykroyd?
I think he was in Coneheads.
But I had no real, like.
You knew nothing about.
I knew nothing about John Lithgow except that he was the voice of Lord Farquaad.
Yeah.
And that he was the fucking Trinity Killer.
He was the fucking Trinity
Killer. So for me, whenever I see him in this, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah?
He is going to like grab a hammer. He's gonna get
gonna-
naked
he's-
and get in
he's
the
gonna give Barney a big old hug.
I was like, oh no. So like for me it's a little weird seeing him. It's similar to like Barney's mom for me. Where I'm
Right.
like, oh no, like
But then Barney has to embellish the
Yes.
stories that his dad has. And to Barney's big nightmare, his dad is a total normie.
yeah. His dad's a big old fucking nerd.
Yeah. With a family?
With a family.
Yeah.
With JJ, Jerome Jr.
Yeah.
Which really sets off Barney when he finds out that JJ is Jerome Jr.
Yes.
He gets really bummed out.
And it is not fair for me that this season contains both. I'm not ready for this, Lily.
Oof.
And the scene where Barney's trying to like yank off the basketball hoop.
Ah man, those two scenes, and they're really not that far off from each other.
No, that's good television.
Man,
Yeah.
and I think I told you, I texted you as I was watching this season. I'm like, I don't know if it's that I'm getting older and like I know that like those types of things are coming. Like maybe not soon.
Yeah.
But man,
But you never know.
it fucking hits so hard
Yeah.
this year.
My dad will be 72 in this coming February, right? So
Yeah.
I think the average male life expectancy in the United States is still in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
tick tick tick.
tick tick tick. So so bad news is episode 13
Yeah.
and episode 19. So within 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's also like heavy hitters in there, right? Like Last Words is a rough one.
Yeah.
You know, having Change of Heart's also a pretty bad one too, where
Right.
Barney's kind of realizing that he needs to do some shit.
But it's interesting. So I think where this show finds great success.
Great success.
I'll put that on my sound effect reel. Once the L&D, right? Is that what it is? No, I know that doesn't for sound effect. But anyway, once the special effects budget is
Sure.
grander, I'll put it in the sound effect reel. Yeah, it's not L&D. But anyway, so you know, with kind of the one of the big overarching themes about the show is not necessarily focusing on the end goal, right, and kind of just enjoying the moments along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting and very successful for it to have this season that includes romantic love, but is so focused on all other different types of love.
Mm-hmm.
The last time we were together, we were reviewing Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the big critiques of that show is, or the movie, is that ending kind of feels out of place because the movie just kind of focuses on romantic love, and then it's like, here's a kid.
Here's a kid.
Right? Whereas How I Met Your Mother kind of spends a whole season looking at parental love.
Mm-hmm.
And how that can impact a journey, and I feel that makes the overall arc of like, I'll be cliche, but it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right?
Yeah.
I think that makes it more successful because you realize that the journey is kind of rich with so many of these relationships, and it's not just all about finding the one, it's about all the people in your life who are impactful and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty good for Barney.
Yeah.
Before we move on to, I think probably Robin would be good to talk about next because.
Do we want to do Robin or Marshall?
I think so
Lily?
because I don't think we have a lot
for
for Robin this season.
Let's do Robin.
But we do have a lot of scenes between Barney and a special guest this season.
The special guest.
The special guest is Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Who
honey.
oh man, dude,
Yeah.
she's got some fucking scenes that I'm like, oh no.
I believe when this was out, Katy Perry was still my biggest celebrity crush.
Katy Perry was huge
Katy
around
Perry-
2010.
Katy Perry was huge.
2011.
I miss the simpler Katy Perry days.
Yeah.
Honestly, Roar, I think that was the album.
That came out that time?
Not that came out that time.
When it dropped.
It was the album after California Girls, and that album just for me the most disappointing career turn ever in an artist.
Hilarious.
But anyway,
All right. So next we go on to Robin. Robin really does not get a lot. The biggest things that we get from her are she gets overdone.
Yep.
Um,
Becky.
she has issues with Becky this season.
Yeah.
We also find out that she had a variety TV show.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Man, I was just watching those scenes.
Yeah.
Space Teens.
Two beavers are better than one.
You know, I know. We were discussing the other day when we were like, how do we rank the songs?
Yeah.
Man, Two Beavers is so good.
I love Two Beavers.
Two Beavers is so good.
I love Two Beavers. You know, we might have to have an emergency meeting. We've got our we've got all our lists for the show.
Yeah.
We might need to replace one of them with like a Robin Sparkles / Robin Daggers.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Man, there's
also very manageable.
Very manageable.
Yes.
We also end up kind of getting closure on Robin, like with like her dating.
Mm-hmm.
We are kind of done with her just like looking for dudes. I think at this point she's kind of just like, I just want to just chill.
Yeah.
That she's not actively pursuing a love interest, which is fine.
Yeah.
So that honestly, that's kind of it for her.
She's careering.
She's careering at this point, which will tie in nicely with Ted too, I think, later on. So I think if you're okay with it, I think it's time to move on to Lily and Marshall.
Yeah.
Because this is a big season for them.
Huge
season for them.
Huge.
I mean, I think at the very last episode of the season, not Robin.
Lily's pregnant.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I'm saying at the end of the season, Marshall kind of sums up his year.
Yeah.
Where he's like, man, this year has been awful.
Yep. Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry. How are you, my dear? I'm sorry you didn't go to the cruise.
It's okay, but at least we're fine.
You're gonna get your management, right?
Yeah, we luckily we did an insurance thing.
Oh, then we have to.
So yeah, we were able to file it, and they're processing it. So it'll take a couple of weeks, and then we'll get the money back. We'll pay off whatever's left, and then we'll reschedule for March.
Spring break.
Spring break!
Hooray.
Woo! You're fine.
I'm sorry.
Fine. Bye, mommy.
Do you need to start it again?
I never paused.
No, that's fine. I can edit that out.
So,
What were we saying?
we were talking about Lily, and you said end of the season, and I said she's pregnant by the end of the season, and you said yes.
Oh, right,
and then
right.
Marshall's like,
So Marshall,
awful year.
Marshall starts going off, and man, they really did kind of get kicked down this season. I know there's some funny stuff with their expectations for pregnancy.
Yeah.
Starting off in the very beginning, they kind of assume that we're gonna get there and it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They are banging everywhere.
Trying different methods.
Yeah. This is where we start to kind of get a little bit of clash between Lily and Marshall about his career too.
Yes.
She's kind of,
But he's still at GMB.
He's still a GMB. I don't want to say he's complacent there, but he's
Somewhat complacent.
he's somewhat complacent, but to an understandable degree. Like, he knows they're starting a family. He knows that it's not going to be cheap.
Right.
And right now, he's got a reliable income.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly fine. I think it's understandable. But then at the end of that episode, at the end of Natural History, we realize that that is coming to an end. He is going to stop being corporate marshal. He's going to go back to environmental law, which is what he wanted.
And corporate marshal is just a thing in the museum.
Corporate marshal is just a thing in the museum, which is funny because it's really not. He goes back to corporate.
Yeah.
But that's different.
Right.
We do end up getting our final doppelganger.
We do.
Which is Dr. Stengel.
Dr. Stengel.
Dr. Stengel.
Patrick Harris is a doctor.
He looks so good.
He does look good.
With that big, beautiful beard.
He's been ready since Doogie Howser.
Has he? Yeah, that was definitely his big Doogie,
Doogie
Easter egg, yeah, the whole thing. But unfortunately, that is the episode where we lose Marshall's dad, which is really funny because like the whole episode you have mom and dad, you know, just there and just kind of being silly.
Well, and it's interesting because it's also Marshall's also dealing with the possibility that he's infertile.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the good news that he has that he's not infertile.
Yeah, which is funny because you know with the title being bad news, you really don't know.
Yeah, it's a total curveball.
Yeah, it's a total curveball at the end, and I never caught this. Even my first or second viewing of it, it was not until like way later that you know there is that countdown happening in the background. There are numbers counting down from 50, all the way down, and you know going back, you're like it's really fucking obvious because like, there's some numbers that are just like gigantic in the back. You're like, what is this counting down to? Until you know Lily gets off of cab number 1 and tells him that his dad's dead.
Right.
Which leads us to then having to reconcile with. Eventually, we're gonna have to hear someone's last words.
Yep.
Which sucks. And Marshall's last words from his dad are not great.
No.
At least not initially.
Right.
We get a whole thing with Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
The weirdly semi-playfully racist Korean neighbors.
Yes.
Oh, they did have an umbrella.
Yeah.
But that does kind of take Marshall out of the picture for a little while. He goes back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
And this is where we're starting to see him spiral. Right. So he starts to be less interested in having a kid. At first, you're kind of like, maybe it's because you know he's sad.
Well, he just regresses to being a kid.
He does.
And for that episode, he also pulls Ted back into his world.
Yeah, where they go play video games at his house, and they want Sunny D and hot dogs and sandwiches and shit.
And to the point where Marshall's mom, who's just like, you know, not had him wrapped around her finger is not the right word, but she wanted to keep him close to the nest, right? And
to a certain degree, right? So yeah, she likes having something to do to keep her mind off of things, but at the same time, he is.
But I mean, historically, before the death of his dad, right? Marshall's mom was protective, and it's gotten so bad to the point where she's making peace with her arch enemy and being like,
"You need to get him out of my house." And it's not until the next episode, Garbage Island, that we find out that it's because he's. You know, he wants to go back to environmental law after losing his dad. He feels bad that his dad never really got to see him achieve his dream.
Yeah.
He ends up leaving GMB. He starts interviewing in other places. He eventually takes a job with Zoe to try to save the Arcadian.
Exactly.
I don't know much about New York as far as like other than obviously World Trade Center and Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of building that is kind of representative of the Arcadian?
So I also don't know. However, the building in Only Murders in the Building has a similar name.
Interesting.
The Ansonia building in New York City, right?
Hmm.
It's nice. It's not dumpy like the Arcadian is.
Okay.
But you know, it's full of those historical landmarks that are much coveted from the Teds and the Zoes of the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lily, just doing Lily. She's not really having much of a crisis other than wanting Marshall to just, you know, kind of be okay.
Right. A lot of the crisis and the anxiety of potential motherhood.
Yeah, which I think could get resolved pretty early for her.
Exactly.
She's not super, like, anxious about it once they find out that it's just a matter of waiting.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets wrapped up about halfway through the season. A lot of things for Lily is just kind of being support.
Yeah.
I think this season is just Lily's just being support. She's helping Marshall through his issues, and that takes her to the end of the season where she ends up pregnant.
I think the one interesting thing that I want to leave on the note, it's interesting that Ted, or not Ted, Marshall and Barney are undergoing this significant parentage crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And of the three males in the group, they're kind of the opposites, where Ted has like a little bit of, you know, he's in the middle of them, right? He's not as wild. He's not as wild as Barney, but he's also not as like huggably monogamous as Marshall. Right. So it's cool to see tragedy kind of work its way through the two polar opposites.
Yeah.
Of our friend group.
Yeah, for sure. I think that wraps up.
Yeah.
That wraps them up. So that leaves us with
Teddy Westside.
Teddy Westside.
Yeah.
Teddy Westside. This is his big career season, I think. So I know we had big career shift last season, going to teaching.
To professorship. 2 seasons ago, he had the GMB building offered to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And taken away.
And taken away.
All within one season.
And now it's back on the table.
Now it's back on the table.
And it kind of comes out of the blue.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Sort of. Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of knew that something had to happen.
Right.
You don't just, have an architect as your main character.
Without him getting it built. But the fact that it was that building and the fact that so much other family stuff is going on.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's because they had nothing else to do with him, but I mean, I feel like this is a good way to have Ted still do something big and eventful without taking away from the seriousness of the Marshall and Barney parental issues.
Well, it's also interesting. It's because Barney is it's not played for a very long bit, but I think it's interesting that Barney is the one who delivers the news to him that the Arcadia building, the project is back on.
Mm-hmm.
Ted initially denies it, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole Barney always gets a yes episode,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's interesting that while Barney is undergoing all of this emotional baggage in this season, and while he's the one who kind of like hijacked, the project in season 4, he's the one who gets to like deliver the news to Ted and gets to rope him into fulfilling his career ambitions. So even though it's like a moment of character growth for Ted, it's also like Barney gets to grow through Ted.
Yeah.
It's not focused on, but it's interesting that Barney's the one who messed it up. Barney fixes it. Barney is going through baggage. Barney gets to cheerfully tell him like. Oh,
but I mean, he didn't mess it up though, right?
Well, he initially
kind of betrays him and
Yes.
goes with Sven.
Yeah. Which if he hadn't, then Ted would have been able to build it in season 4.
But he didn't. No, because that's all resolved in one episode. The thing goes away like a few episodes later when they just decide to scrap the project altogether. Yeah. Like it's completely unrelated to Sven or anything. Right. It's not until this season that they're like, fuck it, we're gonna do it anyway. Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. I mean, he gets some fun things with the snakes.
Right.
That line always makes me laugh. When they're like, it's a snake-infested building. Wait, what? Snakes? Who? I didn't say anything about snakes. Such a good, because that comes up multiple times.
Yeah.
I did find it kind of frustrating, kind of the back and forth with him and Zoe.
Yeah.
That to me, I think, is a reason why I never really considered Zoe to be a legitimate player.
Zoe's definitely not the one from the get-go.
Yeah, but so like
you can maybe think that Stella is gonna be the one. But Zoe, I feel like is definitely
Zoe really had no chance. I feel like that from the very beginning is kind of shelved because that Ted would not be happy. He would have done it. Right. He would have remade his plans using the facade of the Arcadian, right. Which is what he kind of tries to do to preserve her and the building. When he finds out that she's married, he's like, nope.
Yep.
I want my building.
And it's very petty.
Very petty, but you know what? When you have a goal, like, should you compromise for the girl?
So I think I read the scene where he comes up with the facade idea as him genuinely liking the idea, because he also liked the Arcadian. He was sad to see it get torn down.
So the way I saw that was he is sad from a I like old buildings perspective,
Right.
but there is an episode where he's having a dream, right? He's having this dream. He's like, this is a dingy old building made by some guy who was just kind of winging it, and he stole from other people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's old and it's kind of cool, but it's got to go.
But it's yes.
You know, it's just.
Whereas Zoe has affinity for it for other reasons.
Yeah, because she just wants it to be preserved for the sake of preserving old shit.
Right. But I bring that up because it seemed to me in that scene that Ted actually really liked his idea, and then the move to just sort of scrap it because of what he took as a spite from Zoe, I feel like is a step backwards for his character. Or if not backwards, it shows that Ted has a lot of maturing.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, that kind of goes with, I mean, that whole episode, they tell him, like, you have a tendency to, when you're with a girl who is not compatible with you, you will change your shit to kind of match with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something that he has to do because him and Zoe are just not 100% compatible.
Right.
Which is why when he's with someone like Robin or with Victoria or with Tracy, you know, he doesn't. He's able to be himself.
Yep.
So that, you know, it just kind of goes along with the theme of these two are just not meant to be. And it's fine. It
is fine. Like I said, I don't hate Zoe like a lot of people do.
She's very cute.
She's cute.
Very cute.
She's got her own little complexity with her dynamic with the captain and the captain's daughter. Is that in this season or is that in season 7?
That is this season. Zoe is in another season.
Zoe is not in the other season.
Mm-mm.
So this is it.
This is it.
This is it for Zoe.
Yeah, because the season ends with him and their relationship completely ends in Landmarks.
Yeah.
So that's episode 23 before the end.
Yeah.
Last episode, they're kind of like, maybe he will try to get back together with her.
Yeah.
But they convince him, like, you can't just go back.
So she's kind of short-lived.
Very short-lived.
Yeah.
The thing with Zoe is she, I feel like, meshes very well with the group.
Yeah.
And I think that's also
the gentleman,
right? That have the whole episode together. Right. She is really, really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was nice that they had a lot of chances to kind of like show her personality where I feel like someone like Stella did not.
Right.
Which is why kind of I think it's frustrating that like Stella had a chance to potentially be the mother, but she was just such a one-dimensional character.
Yeah.
You never really felt like she could belong. Whereas Zoe, you know from the beginning, she has no chance.
Yeah.
But man, she's
much more interesting.
She is such a way better character.
When I think of, I'm thinking of a particular friend of mine right now who's dated, not winners. but
Did you say not winners?
Not winners. Not winners. But he just cultivates like these pieces of what like a compatible one would be. Like he cultivates.
Okay.
A smart one who's just like kind of a bitch. And then he had one who just had tremendous emotional baggage, right?
No.
So you know, it does kind of mirror, you know, modern dating in the sense that like, you know, sometimes you kind of get like along the way you do kind of get like pieces of what or who you want or need.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's interesting. We're one of our overarching questions that we've hit on in a few episodes, but I don't think we hit on the last episode. Is like, you know, how would this show stand the test of time? And I was thinking about this a lot yesterday because the show She-Hulk, which I'm very excited for.
I am very excited for She-Hulk, actually.
It, you know, in some of the promo, you know, it talked about how it's going to sort of explore modern dating. To which I'm optimistic for how that turns out, but it was honestly like How I Met Your Father, which just so totally turned me off from that trope. Because like I feel like for a lot of people, like modern dating just means Tinder, and right.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's just something
uninteresting about that.
Uninteresting, boring about that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I feel is more. I don't want to hyper elevate it, but it's more timeless, right? I feel like the relationship characters that our main characters cultivate throughout the show's run, that to me feels like it applied today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. Whereas suddenly just focusing on like apps and how that influences dating just seems so dated.
Yeah, so that's kind of the funny thing. You watch this show and they briefly touch on like online dating.
Yeah.
But every relationship that starts in this show is started organically.
Yeah.
And there's something just so much more personable about that, which makes it... I'm not saying that like online dating issues are not a thing, right? I mean, I really don't have a leg to stand on that because I've been out of the game for
and there are
15 years.
There are plenty of like legitimate relationships that come from the online scene.
And they do. But I also feel like as far as like making it an interesting premise for a show, it loses the effect.
I think what's uninteresting to me about it is, so I might be biased because I'm just like, my current girlfriend, right, who I don't expect to have another one after this, right? Mm-hmm. I met her organically, like at a party. Right? I did not walk into that party thinking I was
gonna find someone
a girl, right? Mm-hmm. The trick with online dating, as someone who did that and found it tiring, is like you're on there specifically for that purpose. You're there either to find a date or to find someone to hook up with.
Yep.
Which is not bad, but the point that I'm trying to make is, to me, there's something much more interesting about just going about life and then happening upon this awesome person or experience. Much more interesting than swipe. The baggage that comes from that.
So as someone who has not had experience with online dating, I kind of compare it to like when you watch a movie, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you are watching a movie and your expectation is you're going to have fun.
Yep.
That is the online dating. You are going to watch a movie and you're expecting to find hopefully something.
Yeah.
Right? But then there is you watch a movie that you're like, I have zero expectations for this.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And you find something, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is very amazing.
And I think the show kind of takes that idea of expectations and mirrors the dynamic we just talked about. Because when Tracy finally does get into the picture, like we said in either last episode or a couple episodes ago, that marriage does not pan out. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen in the way that like
anyone
Ted anticipates that it's going to happen. Even this relationship with Zoe, right? If you think about it from a story structuring perspective, like it's kind of from one angle, it's just kind of like wheels sputtering, right? Because nothing specifically comes out of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's contained to a single season, whereas Stella like goes from 3 to 4. But there's still something interesting about her.
Yeah. And I mean, to go along with that, like they just meet on the street.
Yeah.
Like Ted is just sitting there going, I'm gonna probably tear this shit down, this old ass building. And Zoe's like, hey, how's it going? And he thinks she's a hooker.
Yeah.
And, he says, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah.
And, then she tries to convince him to say the Arcadian. But, I think there's something about it, though. Like, I really do kind of wish that Zoe had an out as far as, like, a possibility to be a contender.
Yes.
Because even watching back every single time, I'm just like, man, she had no chance.
Or I agree, and then I was going to follow that up with, or a Stella moment where Ted and Stella do kind of get that chance to like reconcile, towards the end of season 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Ted and Zoe don't really get that. Like it's not a total sour note that their relationship, leaves off, but things don't feel mended. Things definitely feel like broken, I would say.
Yeah.
But I also I kind of like that. You don't get a
Yeah.
bill for
Not
that.
every relationship ends nice.
Yeah.
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 Some of them end more messy than others. Some of them end with you getting left at the altar, but some of them just end, and that's fine.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a wrap. I really do like this season a lot.
Yes.
I think I remember when I ranked this season, I ranked it pretty high.
Yeah.
Season number 4 out of 9 for me.
Do you have mine pulled up or no?
Yours, this is a number 3 spot.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a really good season.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some of the episodes and I'm like, there's some that are just kind of like, I slept through a couple of these episodes, if I'm being honest. I slept through The Perfect Cocktail. I was falling asleep through The Exploding Meatball Sub because they're just not.
Yeah.
Not,
But you've also seen the show like
a billion fucking times. But I mean, it's still. I think narratively, this is a really good season for the characters. Like a lot of things are upended. There's a lot of big, momentous changes.
Yes, and I would say after this season, once again, the latter seasons have grown on me in recent years. But I would say there's definitely a decline after this season.
A little bit. I don't know. Have you rewatched everything yet?
Yes.
You finished everything?
Yeah.
So I came to a real liking of season 7 and 8.
Good.
On this last rewatch.
Yeah.
Where again, maybe it's because I'm getting old and a lot of these things are just like hitting harder.
Yeah.
But there's some really good episodes on there.
Yeah.
So just like with every season, we like to have a little fun at the end.
Yeah, this one was a hard one.
I fucking love so
labor intensive.
Labor intensive, man. I spent many hours on this. So do you want to explain what this is?
Yeah. So HIMYM's famous. We call them almost endings, right?
Yeah. So think of them like little mini epilogues, right?
Exactly. Like the opposite of a cold open.
Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, I'm sure epilogue is probably the proper word.
Yes.
Yeah. So throughout the whole show, Javier did the Lord's work, and he curated all of them.
So many.
All of them. 78.
Are there really that many?
78.
Oh my God.
78 almost endings. 78 epilogues.
And I may have missed some, if I'm being honest.
That's fine. So this was hard to come up with. I have my top 5. I have no confidence that this is like my truly objective top 5, and these, I can't be convinced that something else should be on this list.
Sure.
But I like my list.
All right, so let's start with yours. We might have overlap. We'll see.
Yeah. So number 5 is Nannies.
Nannies. That's where he bangs.
Barney bangs the old nanny. And that just kind of stands on the, the premise.
Yeah.
The premise itself does a lot of.
Oh, what's her name? Mrs. Berksmistel or something like that?
Yeah,
oh, man. Yeah. She's funny. I like her.
Yeah.
I do like her.
The I didn't mean to put down Rally for my other one.
Rally?
It was not Rally. It was the Ring Bear one. Let me see.
Wait, the one where...
Unpause.
where the guy's like, come on, Trevor Hudson.
Yes, exactly.
Really?
It's feeding time. Yeah, because I knew the Ring Bear joke was gonna pan out. So I liked the payoff on that one.
Yeah, it is a really funny joke that is throughout all of season 7.
Yeah,
and you're kind of like
season 9.
Sorry, season 9, where you're kind of just sitting there going, is Barney insane enough to have a big ass bear?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, but he's also reasonable enough to know.
Yeah.
Robin would probably fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
The Window is my number 3. Older version of Marshall is on the other side of a bar.
Oh.
Who apologizes to Wendy the waitress for sending the wings back, saying he already had some wings much earlier.
Yeah, that's a sweet one.
Yeah. That one's very quotable.
Yeah, that's the episode with Maggie.
With Maggie, the girl next door.
The girl next door.
Yeah. Number 2 is Intervention.
Okay, that's old Barney, right?
Yes.
Barney in his old man makeup.
Exactly.
Where he's been trying to hook up with hot singles.
Yeah, hot singles, and then they gotta put him out of. I love old man Barney makeup.
There's something
that's from this season, isn't it? Or no?
No, Intervention is season 4.
Season 4.
Because that's where they're season 4, because they're trying to talk, not talk out of him, but tell him that he might be rushing too fast with. Okay.
Yeah. And then finally, number 1 is Robots Be Wrestlers. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe.
What is that episode called?
Robots v Wrestlers.
Is it Robots vs. Wrestlers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Pretentious Ted.
Pretentious Ted. Yeah. What was her name? Melissa something. The lady who used to live in the apartment.
Yeah.
Had birds.
Yeah.
That is a little line that I would be lying if it does not just like pop into my brain every once in a while.
Yes.
Like you're just sitting there just like, well, very good.
And then honorable mention, Perfect Week. Ted accidentally embarrasses Cook Poo.
Oh, man.
At McLaren's.
Oh,
in fact, put that as my number 5. Take out
nannies?
Take out nannies. Put Cook Poo as my number 5.
Cook Poo. Man, poor Cook Poo.
What a name.
What a name. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, I know it's not the only show to have done it.
Yeah.
But man, some foreign names just do have like different words that.
Yeah, this take could get me canceled. So,
it's not. Yeah. I mean, they make a joke of it in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh yeah.
Where there's a character, his name is Dong.
Ah.
And Kimmy's like, your name is really funny because in America your name means like penis. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's really funny because in my language your name Kimmy also means penis. So like it's that. I mean, I don't know if it's really like true, but I mean it's the idea of all that shit.
Languages do crazy things.
Languages do crazy things. So for me, mine are in no particular order, with the exception of probably my number 1, which is the Swarley episode where he walks into the bar. Everybody goes Swarley, and then they play the end of Cheers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wanna go
where everybody knows your name. Bum, 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 bum.
And that one's really good. Another one that I really like is from the old King Clancy episode.
Yeah, it's a good one.
There's something about Robin being just so not chill.
Yeah. And
getting turned down. He's like, I want you to give me an old King Clancy. He's like, I think you should go. It's very good. So let me put that down. Another good one that I really like is from the Woo Girls episode.
Woo! That I was also going back and forth between that one.
Yeah, that is referenced later on in the show.
Yeah.
About Ted's threesomes.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of funny that they canonize that Ted may have potentially have had more than the one threesome.
Yeah. I was proud of Ted that day.
Yeah?
Woo Girls. I was proud of Ted.
So that's Ted, threesome potential.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I really enjoy is the Jenkins one.
Jenkins.
So that's the episode where we find out that Robin is drinking game. And she comes back into the class with a big megaphone.
Yeah.
So that's Robin. And for me, my number 1, actually, this is my actual number 1. Now that I'm thinking about it, it is from the episode "The Time Travelers." Just having the quartet of Ted and Barney from the future, singing "The Longest Time." That is very good. I wish there was a full version of it because they have a a CD with like all the original music for the game
Right.
for the show.
Right.
I really wish there had been a
That was on
rendition
CD,
of
yeah.
the whole thing.
I pirated that album long ago when I was using the iTunes.
Why?
Why did I pirate it?
I mean, like,
wasn't
by
gonna buy
that
it.
point? By that point, like everybody already had like
Oh, in college, I was stealing everything.
really.
Yeah.
I think by that point, everything was available easily through a website or something.
Yeah, Pirate Bay.
No. What I'm saying is like a Spotify or like a YouTube.
It took me a little while to get onto Spotify, and then you forget apples are bitches with you listening to YouTube.
I guess you're
Yeah,
right because
yeah.
you're in that ecosystem.
Exactly.
I guess if I had a chance for a honorable mention
Mm-hmm.
in the episode Stinson Missile Crisis,
Yeah.
where he's trying to get everything taken down. This is just like a series of pictures of Ted, Marshall, and Lily through the years in their Halloween pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like salt and pepper and
That one's
cumin.
really, yeah.
Uh,
I like the Ted Mosby Sex Architect one.
the Ted Mosby, man, there's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah.
I like the Super Date one where Robin sings "Bang Bang Bangity Bang."
Yes. Excellent. Is that the bang, 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 bang,
It's so
is that the
good.
bang, 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 bang?
There's some that are not as good, but I like that all of these are pretty inconsequential. Like none of them finish up like a story thread. They're all just
Yes.
like story adjacent. So those
Yes.
are always fun. Well,
Yeah.
that's been an eventful episode.
That was-
Hopefully, it's not terribly long. Hopefully, it's shorter than the last one that we did.
And hopefully it's not full of static. We'll see in a minute.
Hopefully it's not. Has it been staticky in the headphones?
On and off. On and off. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
We'll see.
whatever. All right, everybody. We will be back soon.
3 seasons left.
3 seasons.
Definitely not going to end before the school year.
No, we ended up with a lot of.
Yeah. But it's all right.
It's fine.
It's about the journey.
Yeah, we'll get these done,
Yeah.
and
For our millions of fans.
and we'll wrap up our How I Met Your Mother in the summer.
We will. And now I will play.
Oh no! What are you gonna play? Anything?
Original. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's Javier.
He's Thano.
And we'll catch you for season 7.
Yeah, man, you threw me for a fucking loop there.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Bye. What is that?
Don't laugh. Very good.
Oh, very fun.
Our own little laugh track.
Make sure you
Let's get on. What's all this then? What's all this then? Okay, stop recording or pause?
stop recording.